All right, so today we are going to be breaking down every single Movsar Evelev finish in the UFC. This is obviously going to be a very long video, so make sure you stay tuned. No, but seriously, what's up, y'all? Zappy MMA here, back to continue our generational run with yet again another banger. And over the years, there's been many memorable fights in the UFC, fights that are just downright unforgettable. And whether it's unforgettable due to it being because it's such a high profile fight, like basically any Conor McGregor fight ever, or the fights just being so fun, it's rewatched back constantly, like Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald too. There's many reasons why certain fights are forever stained in our memories. But on the contrast, there's also just about as much fights that have been forgotten over the years, usually for reasons such as the fights being against no-name fighters on the prelims, or the match itself just being very boring, or it happening so long ago that it's just basically forgotten over the years, and in many cases, all of the above. However, there's one fight in particular that stands out as one of the most, if not the most forgotten fight in modern day UFC history. And it's not just in my opinion, but in the opinion of many others as well. And what if I tell you that this isn't a fight between two nobodies, but rather some of the biggest names in UFC history? It wasn't a prelims fight, but rather a title fight. Well, technically, we'll get into that a little bit later, but it also wasn't an old fight either, actually having taken place in the late 2010s. Some of you hardcore fans may already know which fight I'm referring to, but for those of you who don't know, the fight I'm talking about is Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva back in early July of 2016 for UFC 200. Now, some of y'all may be flabbergasted, not even knowing that two legends in Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva even fought each other. And honestly, I don't even blame y'all. From the yellow canvas to the 3 round title fight, this whole fight just feels like one big fever dream. Not to mention it was extremely short notice as well, which is most of the reason why it's so forgotten in the first place. Now, a little bit of a backstory behind UFC 200, for those of you who don't know, it was actually headlined by Amanda Nunes versus Misha Tate, but it was originally supposed to be John Jones versus Daniel Cormier 2 as the main event. Long story short, just 3 days before the event, John Jones famously tested positive for a banned substance, so the main event was actually switched to Amanda Nunes versus Misha Tate, like I just said, and a very short notice Anderson Silva stepped up to now face Daniel Cormier for the featured fight. In my opinion, most of the reason why this fight is largely forgotten is due to it just being such short notice. Not to mention it was only 3 rounds. Plus, it was just a very uneventful fight in general. And not only that, but you also got to take into account that social media in 2016 wasn't anywhere near as big as it is now. And a lot of people, a lot of the UFC fans just heard that John Jones versus Daniel Cormier was off, and they just never tuned into the event. Especially considering that Anderson Silva stepping up on short notice was only announced like a day before the actual card. And it's not just me who thinks this is one of the most forgotten fights in UFC history. If you look in the comments section of a re-uploaded video of this fight on YouTube, a lot of people also seem to agree with me, with some never even knowing that this fight happened in the first place. Like I said earlier, it's just weird how such a high profile fight against two legends of the sport in Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva is widely forgotten to have even taken place, at least amongst the casual fans. And that's going to do it for today, guys. I know it was a very short video, but I didn't really have much else to say. I should be dropping another banger very soon. And as always, if you guys made it this far, you might as well like and subscribe. And until next time, guys.